Good morning, good evening, brethren. Greetings to each and every one. Welcome to another episode of our BQA, the Bible question and answer. Today, we will be answering another question that has been sent to us by one of our brothers. And the question is, do we show reverence for the name of God by not pronouncing it? Many people today believe that refraining from pronouncing the name of God shows reverence to Him. Just like the Jewish people, as we know, they're actually the most prominent in practicing such belief because they believe in ineffability of God's name, which means we can't pronounce it because it's too holy for us to be spoken. But aside from Jewish people, is there anyone else that follow the same tradition of not pronouncing the name? Yes, even the Catholic Church. They officially discourages the liturgical use of the name to respect the Jewish traditions and emphasize the use of the titles like God and Lord. Who else? Even some certain Protestant communities, such as the Anglicans and the Lutheran traditions, they also avoid the direct use of the name in their worship, adhering to similar principles as the Catholic Church. However, the important question that we need to ask now is refraining from pronouncing the name an inherent practice in early Jewish worship or Jewish tradition? Absolutely not, because it only started after the Babylonian exile. They stopped using the name because they are afraid that they might accidentally misuse the name. So what they did, they began using some substitutes like Adonai for Lord, Elohim for God, Hashem for the name. So they're using those substitutes in their prayers and their scriptural readings. So it's very clear here, brethren, that their practice of not pronouncing the name is merely human decision and not a command from God. What is our proof that it's not a command from God? Who in the first place has authorized us to invoke the name? Let's start reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verses 14 down to 15. God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say to the Israelites, Yahuwah, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation. Who in the first place, brethren, has authorized us to invoke or use the name? It's Yahuwah Abba himself. He's the one who instructed us to call on his name. Is it exclusive only to Old Testament time? No. Yahuwah said here, from generation to generation, meaning it also includes our time, right? So we are instructed to call on his name. Why did Yahuwah reveal himself to Moses and to his people? Because by invoking the name of God, it clearly distinguishes the God of Israel from the Egyptian gods. In other words, by revealing his personal name, he establishes his distinct identity, making it clear to Moses and to the Israelites who really he is. This is why Yahuwah wants his name to be used. He wants his name to be our banner. So what will happen if we will completely ignore and we will not pronounce the name? What is the equivalent of that, brethren? Let's read from the same book of Exodus, chapter 20, the verse is 7. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah your God in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. What is equivalent of completely ignoring and not pronouncing the name of Yahuwah? It means we are not worshiping him. Because invoking the personal name, it literally ties worship and communication directly to Yahuwah Haba himself. And why refraining from pronouncing the name puts his name in vain? Because if we will look for the Hebrew meaning of the words in vain, it actually means emptiness or worthlessness. So if we will completely ignore and refrain from invoking the name, what are we doing? We are actually putting his name in emptiness and worthlessness. So what must we do instead? Psalms 105, the verse is 1. Give praise to Yahuwah, proclaim his name, make known among make, make known among the nations what he has done. So what must we do, my beloved brethren? This verse clearly invites us to both invoke the name and to proclaim it boldly. Why are we sure that this tells us to invoke the name? Because if we will look for the Hebrew name, for Hebrew meaning of the word proclaim, this is actually the word kara, which means to call unto, to utter a loud sound, or to give name to. So how are we going to proclaim the name of Yahuwah? We will invoke his name, and at the same time, we will share the people how Yahuwah has been active in our lives. So in this way, we will make his name known to other people. This is why when our King Yahusha was still here on earth, this is exactly what he did. John 17, verse is 26. And I have declared to them your name, and will declare it, that the love with which you love me may be in them, and I in them. What did our King Yahusha do when he was still here on earth? He declared the name. In Greek word, it also means to make known or to be recognized, which only tells us that for us to declare the name, it has first to be invoked. What must be our responsibility now? That the name has been declared to each and every one of us, we will continue to declare and call upon his name, because calling upon God's name is an active and continuous part of our relationship to Yahuwah Abba. It's a living practice, brethren, and not a one-time act. But the question now is it enough that we know the name, we invoke the name? How? How do we truly show reverence for the name? Let's read from John chapter 7, the verse is 6. I have revealed your name to those you gave me out of the world. They were yours. You gave them to me, and they have obeyed your word. How we will truly show reverence to the name of Yahuwah. We will show reverence to the name when we invoke Yahuwah's name in prayer, in our worship, in our teachings, and at the same time, we are aligning our lives with the words of God. It's very important, brethren, that we obey the words, because according to our King Yahusha, the name will only be revealed to whom? To those has been given to him, and to those who obeyed the words. What will happen if we will use the name, but we are not obeying the words? We are actually misusing the name. Remember this, the prohibition is not against pronouncing the name, but against what? Misusing it. How? How do people nowadays misuse the name of Yahuwah? People often use the name very casually, right? And sometimes they are using it in cursing or inappropriate language. How else? Others may invoke God's name, claiming to be followers of our King Yahusha or followers of Yahuwah, but they are living in a sinful lives. That's a religious hypocrisy. We must live, brethren, in accordance to the holiness of his name. It's not enough that we know his name. We must live in a way that honors his name, or it honors his character, because calling on God's name, remember this, brethren, is both a privilege and a responsibility. So, to answer our question, do we show reverence for the name by not pronouncing it? No, we don't show reverence if we will totally refrain from pronouncing it, even though the Spirit has already taught us the name, because the Bible clearly teaches us to proclaim, to praise, and to honor his name, which require us to invoke the holy name. May this truth inspire us to live lives that glorify his holy and most powerful name. Yahuwah bless each and every one of us We'll see you again next time.